Water! It's the key to life, but it's one of those things that's very easy to take for granted if you've never been without it. But if you live in an abandoned ghost town that hasn't had reliable running water for 150 years, you tend to think about water a lot. And that's what this video is going to be about. It's going to be about the past, present, and future of the water problem here at Cerro Gordo, and what I do to survive every day without any running water. So throughout the history of Cerro Gordo, water has been the missing puzzle piece. And that's true of my time here too. You know, a week ago, water was flowing out of this thing. 2 months ago, it wasn't. 2 years ago, when we bought the place, I was told that it was impossible to get water ever running out of the mine again. And so this quest for water has been one of the white whales here at Cerro Gordo for as long as the town has existed. And I remember before we bought it, I was well aware that there's no running water at Cerro Gordo, but I don't think you fully appreciate what that means until you're without water for a while. Meaning, right now it's cold outside, right? Let's say you go outside, it's a winter, you wanna go in and wash your hands in warm water. Impossible without running water. Wash dishes, very difficult without running water. Take showers, everything is more difficult without running water. So in the summers here at Cerro Gordo, I can shower by putting a bag in the sun, but when there's snow on the ground, it changes things. The current way I take a shower here at Cerro Gordo is back in this back bathroom of the Gordon house. This is the only shower that works because the house I stay in doesn't have a shower. So, if you look in here, this is the setup as it stands. And this setup was designed by a volunteer we had up here named Richard. And so I appreciate that, but this 55-gallon drum holds water. I fill this with 5-gallon drums. This is what heats the water. And then basically turn it on and there you go. You're able to take a shower. And in order to make sure that the water doesn't freeze, there's always a little heater in here just because it gets real cold even in the houses. There is a way to take showers, and I assure you that I do take showers here at Cerro Gordo, even during the winter. So obviously all the sinks in the house, if you were to try to turn them on, nothing. So to wash dishes, it's just old school, you know? Put a pan here, put a pan there, fill it up with water from this jug, wash, clean, put over there. You know, you get used to it. It's not quite as easy as my dishwasher in Austin, but it'll do. Then if you need to really warm stuff up, boil the water there. And out here, all of these jugs are basically being staged before being filled. So there's always water receptacles here. Right now they're pretty empty. And these will go down the hill to Keeler. And down there in Keeler, 7 miles down, I own a little trailer. And that trailer has a water spigot, and I'm able to use as much water as I can from that water spigot. So I'd go down there, fill up the jugs, bring them back up. But water can be very heavy. I believe about 8 pounds per gallon. And my little truck can't take that much. You know, I have 2 trucks related to Cerro Gordo. I have the one that I brought from Texas, and that one is a very small 2-wheel drive base model 2008 Tacoma, so it can't drag anything. And then there's a larger TRD Tacoma that's kind of like the town's, and that has a blown head gasket, and those are expensive to fix. And so for right now, as you can see, I haven't been able to haul very much water, but the jugs are here. Moving up here, I was like, we'll figure that out in the future. And the best lead that we had when we bought the place was somebody had told me that there was water once in the main Union mine. And this is the Union mine shaft right behind me. This cage goes 900 feet straight down, and every 100 feet there's levels of mine. And around the 700 foot level, somewhere in the 1950s, they discovered that water was pooling there. So they dug a stump, so imagine like digging like a little box out of rock where the water collects, and then they would pipe it from maybe 50 yards back in the mine shaft to the main shaft here, and then 700 feet straight up, right to here, and then underneath here, goes into town, and that's how the water gets to town. And from maybe the 50s until the early 2000s, that's what they did. Cerro Gordo had water. It wasn't a lot of water. If it's performing its best, it produces something like 250 gallons of water per day from down there. But if you're 1 or 2 or 3 people, that's plenty of water, you know, you can get by. But somewhere around 15 years ago, the pump went out, and given the danger, liability, and potential expense of going down there and fix it, they decided not to replace it. And so for the past 15 years or so, Cerro Gordo has been without any running water. And if this town's ever gonna become a place that can host more people and allow more people to come up and enjoy, the water situation has to get figured out. So I started thinking about it more, talking to different people. I met a few guys that had been around for a while. I started talking about the water and how I was told that it was impossible to get water out of the mine anymore. One of them's, you know, I liked his attitude. He's like, well, you know, nothing's impossible. And then met another guy who actually had planned to go down and replace the pump for the old owners, and he actually had a replacement pump already. And so slowly over the course of a few weeks, almost the dream team developed, right? So we had somebody that was comfortable running the hoist, somebody that had the pump already, an electrician, safety people, and guys just with a huge amount of knowledge. And so the crew came together. They looked to me for the thumbs up. I thought about it a while, gave them the thumbs up, and maybe about 3 or 4 months ago, we went down there for the first time. Woohoo! I remember the first time down there, it's exciting, right? So you don't know a bunch of things. One, you don't know if water will be down there anymore. You don't know that the pump can be replaced. You don't know if the piping all the way up is burst. And even if you can get the water to here, you know, the town's still a half a mile away. So I remember crew came together that day. Everybody was kind of excited, sent people down, went, and there's water. So that's a huge excitement, right? 2 or 3 weekends later, went back down with a new pump, replaced the pump, flipped the switch, and waited. And we thought water started going, but water wasn't getting up here. So we took the hoist back down and realized about 200 feet after the pump, when it's going up by around 500 level, the pipe was burst. So it was time to replace the pipe. So a couple weekends later, we got about 500 feet of PEX, went back down, replaced the water from where it was broken all the way to the top, all the way to right here. And then again, turned back on the pump and waited. And it's funny, right? So you turn on the pump, it's not an immediate thing. You have to fill up 700 feet of pipe before anything's gonna come out here. And so it's a wait, and then slowly this thing just started beating, you know, as the pump was like, it was almost like a heartbeat was back at Cerro Gordo.
$2:45.
Woo! That's water.
Friday afternoon, water is coming to Cerro Gordo. First time since, well, hell, it's been 14 years. Woo! Almost 15.
Look at that water. Oh, hell yeah. I remember the first time I saw water dripping out of this, it was like the best day at Cerro Gordo yet. You know, it was like hope that, hey, maybe this is a solution. And so we were all pumped. We were ready to, you know, break out the cold beer and the hot steaks. And then the water stopped working again. About 2 days after it started, water stopped. We couldn't figure out why. And so for a couple months, we had no water again. And then about 2 weeks ago, the team came back together. Dave.
Your time right now is 1:32.
All right. This is the crew going down. Got Craig. Johnny, of course.
Of course. Let's look just like what we
let's snake our way into. There's the 400 of Cerro Gordo. All right. Sneaking past the 550. Going to 700. 700 level of Cerro Gordo. Shall we get off?
Yes.
All right. There's the pump. This is how we get water here at Cerro Gordo. We're 700 feet underneath the ground. All this is Craig's handiwork. Yep. So we're 700 feet under the ground, inspecting the pipe. Oh, nice fancy LED light. That looks great. We keep going to head back to the actual stump, the water source. Oops. Let's see the pipe. Leading all the way back here to where Cerro Gordo gets water. Look at that. It's incredible. You even got ducks down here. Just didn't know we had life. Ow. Sweet. The guys went down, rebuilt the pump, and then slowly, dup, 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 you heard the heartbeat again, and water was back. Whoa!
Hell yes.
Got a lot of water.
That's awesome.
Sweet. Oh, fucked up.
No, you're good. There it goes.
Yes.
Chugging away.
Cookies.
What's that? We got water, baby. What the hell? Where did that come from? 700 feet? Damn. Look at that thing chugging away too.
Yes.
See the pipe?
Oh yeah, I see that.
All right. Well done, guys. These are the crew that got this all done. Thank you. There's Cody.
Right on.
Yep.
Now we just hope it'll keep.
What are you guys letting that wasting it?
Yeah.
Here to town.
Send it to town. Hey.
Sure.
Good
Couldn't have
job.
done it without Johnny. Johnny's a good cook. And he ran the hose. Johnny's looking for a girlfriend too.
Yeah.
Hiding, click.
He's single. And then about 2 days ago, the water stopped working again. This time, it wasn't a problem of the pump or the line, but somewhere in this vicinity it froze. You know, it's freezing cold outside, and we have heat tape on a lot of it, but not heat tape in all parts. And so it's just too cold right now. So I've turned off the pump again. But in the spring, I hope to get the pump going again and have water at Cerro Gordo once again. But even if we get the water going again from the mine, that's not gonna work for the hotel. That's not gonna work for any future development that we do here. And so I need to come up with a different solution. Water from a mine is fine for my personal consumption, but no matter how many lab tests you have, I'll never be comfortable using that for, the main hotel. So, over the past few months, I've been exploring different options. These options include piping it all the way from Keeler. Keeler, about 5 miles straight down, if you were to go by the power lines, does have a well, and they would be willing to sell us some of their water. Now, this would take a lot of things to go right. I'd have to get an easement all the way up the mountain, and then there's the fact that you're pumping water up 5,000 feet in elevation, which would require multiple stations and pumps and just an extraordinary cost, one that I definitely can't bite the bullet on right now. Two, and probably the most practical that we use for the hotel, is we'll haul up water. And the county's approved that for the hotel, meaning we'll get a state certified water hauler, have massive tanks both in the ground and out of the ground that people can't see, fill those up, every 2 weeks or wherever they need to get filled. So that's kind of the interim option. Three, so the other day this guy came up and his brother owned some property north of here, and he was telling me about how his brother had a water witch come. And I guess a water witch is somebody who can tell where there might be water underneath the ground. And apparently it's something to do with their body chemistry. It seems a little wacky to me, but listen, after being up here for 2 years with no water, I'm willing to try everything. I'm gonna leave no stone unturned. So, if we get a water witch up here, which is hard to even say out loud, maybe we could locate an area that would be worth drilling. You know, and for the longest time I was told that drilling at such a high elevation is useless just because you'd have to go so far to get into any water table. But you figure drilling technology has advanced a lot in the last 150 years. So there's always the potential to drill. I would say that's a outside chance, especially after some other engineers and people that I've talked to. They're not super confident about that, but you never know, that is another chance. Next, we have rain and snow collection. You know, it's snowing right now and it's actually dripping. You can hear it dripping on the roof, and that's an option. There's a lot of strange legalities around collecting rainwater and snow water, particularly in California. But if I was to use it for like gardening and things like that, I think creating some type of guzzler or, you know, like system that would store some of the rain and snow runoff would at least be useful. You know, like any drop of water that we can have up here is gonna go to use. Water's been a problem at Cerro Gordo as long as this town's been a town. You know, the town was established in 1865, and at first they had to bring everything up on mules, including the water. And at its peak, Cerro Gordo was using 35,000 gallons of water a day. So there's a lot of mules. But in 1869, Mortimer Belshaw, the guy whose house is right across the street, found 3 springs surrounding Cerro Gordo and ran lines to them. These springs, from 1869 to 1873, provided water to Cerro Gordo. You know, it's boomtown again. And there's all these articles in the newspaper about the skyrocketing price of soap and bathtubs in the area because all the miners were finally taking showers. Well, it looks like this is about as far as the razor's gonna go. As you can see, it's fully off its own wheels. And it gets just thicker over there, but we are in luck because it stopped us just in time to see some of the former spring operations for Cerro Gordo. And we're probably, I don't know, 3-4 miles maybe from Cerro Gordo. If you look down there towards Death Valley, you'll see 2 of the cabins that were part of the spring operations here at Cerro Gordo. So just down there, those cabins. Let's hike down there. But the sun is setting. It's stunning back here, right? I love stuff like this. You know, I've never been down to those even. I know that they existed, but I've never made the hike because I usually want to keep going to a place called the Salt Tram, which is about another 3 miles. All right, so this is it. Tucked away out here in the mountains. This is part of Cerro Gordo's spring system. And so, back in the day, all the way over here, maybe 3 miles away or so, was trying to get water out to Cerro Gordo. Never been enough water at Cerro Gordo. Still isn't today. And they tried everything, you know, you can see they tried piping it 3-4 miles back up and over into where Cerro Gordo is. And today this just kind of remains. It's really beautiful over there though, it's so still and quiet. Look at that thing down there. So cool. To think that everything had to be brought in by mules and hiked in. It's incredible. It's really incredible. And that each piece of this ties back to Cerro Gordo's history. Maybe there's some other stuff. Oh, there's a bunch of stuff over there. It's more pipe. System of the piping. There's another big thing down there. Speaking of walk the wash, so think about this. So there's this cabin here. There's a wash right next to it. I bet if you were to walk that wash, I mean, all the way down into Death Valley, there'd be some amazing artifacts in there. I'd love to do that one day. Probably not today, just because, as you can see, the sun's already behind those mountains and the shadow's creeping up that hill quick. But I'm glad I came over here today. You know, I haven't ever been over here. I think about water a lot, but never made the trek over. Maybe we can find some little souvenir to bring back, or at the very least, let's walk to that cliff. Oh man, that's gotta be a view. I mean, if nothing else, if you were working at that little spring house, you'd have had incredible views. And look at this peak. Does it just drop? I'm not a big fan of heights. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah, we're gonna back up. We're gonna turn right around there. Oh man. Oh, look over there. Yeah, it's just like a straight drop. Oops. It's exactly what you don't want to hear when you're by a straight drop. Oops. And my shoelace is untied. Perfect. I am pretty stuck, so I think I have to dig out underneath it because I am not going anywhere. Damn it. Just before it got dark, and I should get myself out of this disaster. Might have cost me my jacket, just to give it a little bit of grip, but it's a strong jacket. Plus, if anything, it looks cooler now. Yeah, it was not liking the snow here. But we're out, we're headed back home. And look how freaking crazy it is right now out here. Oh my God, it's so beautiful. Thinking about heading down. As you can see, I never like to go down or up with an empty bed. So we got gas, water. I can't bring up that much water because this truck is very weak. And I'm gonna fill the rest with trash. And on the way back up, I will bring supplies, propane, and fresh water. So for now, let me go take you down to Keeler and show you where we get the water. No discussion about water and Cerro Gordo would be complete without talking about Lake Owens and Keeler. So right now we're in Keeler. I'm actually at the Keeler Pool Club. As you can see, it's seen better days, but so is the lake. And Lake Owens, the lake behind me, used to be 7 miles across and 70 feet deep. And it was important for a lot of reasons. The ore from Cerro Gordo used to be brought down by bucket, put on boats just over there, and shipped across the lake. And from there, the trains would go into Los Angeles where it would be sold. So this is it. This is Lake Owens today. And I think really close to right here is where the ore used to come all the way from Cerro Gordo, shipped down, packed on boats, and sent on its way. You know, and if there are springs ever stood a chance up by Cerro Gordo, don't stand much of a chance now after this lake's drained. But as you can see, nature always wins, so to speak, and there's birds coming back, there's fish and wildlife coming back in small pockets, and who knows, maybe one day this will all have water over it again. But sometimes I like to sit down here and think, can you imagine the views? Imagine if this is like a 70-foot deep lake surrounded by all this. But you gotta think of it both ways. If this was still a 70-foot lake, I probably never would have been able to be involved with Cerro Gordo. So, for now, it's part of the past, part of the history, and another one of my favorite little towns in this area. To me, both Owens Lake and Keeler are beautiful. I watch the sunset over both of them almost every single night. And I remind myself that both are part of Cerro Gordo's past, and Cerro Gordo is a part of both of their pasts. And they're both these monuments to the history and hardship of the area. You know, they're also monuments to decisions that people made over 100 years ago and how those decisions are still playing out today. And that helps remind me that the decisions that I'm making will hopefully have an impact hundreds of years from now as well. And if you look at it from a distance, Owens Lake looks like a forgotten desert, and Keeler looks like a town that time has forgotten. But I think, like everything in life, that depends on what you're focused on. If you look closely at Owens Lake, you'll see that the birds are coming back, and that there's new vegetation everywhere. And I just find myself filled with gratitude for everything that is, not just, what could be. If Cerro Gordo had perfect running water the first time I ever went up here, I wouldn't appreciate every time I went somewhere and the faucet just works. So in that way, the hardship has given me a greater appreciation for the small things. I try to remind myself whenever I flip a switch and it just turns on, that's more than the founders of Cerro Gordo had at their disposal. I try to put myself in the position to think about what it would be like without it. So in that way, I'm grateful for the water struggles at Cerro Gordo and Owens Lake and Keeler. They all help me appreciate the hardships that come along with living here, and I think all improve my life in that way.